Major League Soccer is back, and what better way to kick off the team's 15th season than catching up with Philadelphia Union club legend and leader Alejandro Bedoya on the very first edition of the DOOP, presented by Subaru. Thanks for joining me, Ale.
Thank you. The DOOP. That's what we're calling this, huh?
Yeah,
I'm
sounds like it.
Mesmerized by this room. I mean, so much memorabilia and mementos and everything.
Does it bring back any memories seeing your face on some of these older pieces?
Yeah, it does actually. I see this Doya box thing that they had when I first got here. That was funny. I think my daughter still has hers in her room. But no, it's pretty cool. It's nice. Thanks for having me join the first episode.
There was no better person to have on.
Bang, right?
So it's been quite the busy start to 2024. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's great to get the season back underway. A whole new season, whole new year, make new memories. But look, speaking of starting off with a bang, right into the thick of things, right? With Champions Cup underway, traveling down to Saprissa after some, obviously time in Florida for preseason. First home game against Chicago, and then obviously this crazy last game that we had out here at home.
120 minutes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Tell me about it. Down a man too at home. Was an ideal scenario, but look, it was about surviving and advancing. And then I know now in March, we're about to hit March now. The schedule does not get any easier. A lot of traveling, tough road matches. So, we're going to have to use, the full length of our roster. But I think, the guys are excited about it. The more games we play, the better it feels for as players. You want to just be playing games. So I'm looking forward to it and see what we're made up of.
We're in full swing now, but this offseason, where was your head at before you signed your new contract?
Yeah, it was a bit different. Obviously, the first time I really was in free agency. So it was a lot of downtime, obviously recover from the previous season, both mentally and physically. But it was different, obviously, in the sense also where in years past, everything was pretty straightforward. I already knew, I would be coming back. And there was this added level of uncertainty during these the weeks, right? And time went by, and there were some tough conversations and some good conversations out in, obviously I had to test the market and things were going well there as well. But in the end, I decided to come back and, just keep the family in Philly. This is like our home now, I've met so many great people throughout the whole city of Philadelphia. Made this our home, the club, the players, the locker room, everything that we've built there with the culture and everything. It's just a place where, obviously I feel comfortable and just happy to be back, as a player. I think even when guys retire, it's something that every athlete probably will tell you is the thing you miss the most being away is the banter.
In the locker room?
In the locker room, absolutely. Just all those connections you have with the guys and the pranks and the jokes and all those things that you're known for. I think once you come back in the group or you're outside of the group, you miss the most, right? So, yeah, look, it's not always the easiest of times to be away from the group, and obviously, I'm already a litut bit behind the eight ball in the fact that I missed 3 weeks of preseason. But I got some catching up to do, but in the end, we got it done. Everything got sorted out, and I'm looking at this as in a very positive way. Like I said, we have another great group. We've kept the core of the team intact and added some new additions, some new young guys, fresh guys, and I'm looking forward to being a part of the group for this season and hopefully another great year.
So now you're back, and when that announcement was signed about a month ago, Union Faithful went wild on Twitter, on Instagram, you name it. They said they wanted you back, and they got their wish. Does it ever still feel surreal that these fans care so much?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's great. I think, the fan support here with the Union has been incredible. I will say also the support from the players. I think in general, when everything kind of unfolded initially, you just felt, like I said, we talk about locker room culture and what we built in the locker room and with the group. I think it just speaks volumes to the amount of support I got from players, even some of the staff. And then from the fan base, look, I think, like I said, when I came to this club, the team hadn't made the playoffs yet in its short time history, and then we go on to, obviously it's not just me, but a group effort. But I think we changed the way the club is seen from the outside, in terms of the way we play the game and the way we present ourselves, kind of representative, I think, of Philly in general, right? So I think the fans really appreciate that and realize where, since I've come to the team, how, the turnaround that the club has had. So just the support from the fans has been incredible. The growth of the fan base too, obviously
Absolutely.
winning does help. But yeah, it just shows the strength of the team. And I feel like my persona, my personality, the character that I am and what I'm all about, I think on and off the field, has helped been able to get, some of that fan support. So I'm very appreciative of that, very grateful. Of course, you hear things with social media nowadays, of course I'm on Instagram and some social media as well, and you see some of the comments and some of the fans reaching out, and even throughout free agency or even before, just sending messages of support here and there. It's not something that I take lightly and for granted, and so I just hope that I can continue to give back to them in a positive way.
There are some new leaders emerging. What have you said to them, and how have you been guiding those new people that are taking on a new role, like Jacob Glesnes this year?
Yeah, well, with Jacob, I'm just working on him with some new English words, just because obviously English isn't his first language. But yeah, I think Jacob will tell you even himself that perhaps he's not the most vocal guy. I think he's more of a guy that leads by example, but, he's also another one of our vice captains right after Dre. So I think Dre, Dre speaks for himself, right? But he's even got his own show on Netflix, I think it is, FIFA Captains. If fans haven't seen that, check that out, to see Dre on there. But someone like Jacob, yeah, he's more of a guy I think that isn't as vocal, but that the whole locker room respects just because of the way he carries himself and his personality, his attitude about the game. So obviously the vocal part will come with time, but he's obviously one of my best friends on the team. I wouldn't say we go way back, but it's, I don't know if all the fans know this, but he's actually from the same city in Norway, Bergen, where my wife is from.
Oh, really?
So it's a really kind of small, I guess, what do I say? Small world type thing, right? And that's who I spend off seasons with actually the past, 4 winters, going back to Norway, Bergen, and
So you meet up with him in Norway?
I meet up with him in Norway. We spend time at his ski cabin, at my wife's ski cabin, and at our homes there in Norway.
Have you been fishing with him yet?
I've been fishing with him. Not the type of crazy, deadliest catch type fishing that him and his family go to in the north, but I've just been casual fishing with the kids. He'll take out, he'll
okay,
take
so
out
like
his
no
little boat.
North. I don't know if you've seen this, but North Sea TikTok is like really big on like the dangers and everything. So you're not going anywhere like that.
No, hell no. I get seasick. I could never do that stuff. That ain't for me. But,
Me neither.
No, I think, yeah, it's pretty cool. So I think we have that connection. So, I mean, you say like if I've given any tips or anything like that, not really, but we just talk about, I'm sure he has heard numerous amounts of, my spiels and whatever words that I'm using and shouting that he feels pretty comfortable just pretty much kind of repeating things that I said or that Jim says before games. But no, it's pretty cool to see him, take the armband and, become even more of a leader, on and off the field.
So it's not just people that are currently on the team that you've impacted. Brendan Aronson, I don't know if you've seen this, but when he was asked who his U.S. men's national team Mount Rushmore is, you were on that. Did you see that video?
Yeah, that was a while back. I think I saw that. Yeah, so I was tagged in it.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore?
I would go with, guys that I played with. I would say Clint Dempsey.
Okay.
I became friendly with him on a team. He was one of the guys that took me under his wing when I first joined a national team, and I respect him greatly for that and for what he's been through in his life and his career and the path that he took. I really respect the hell out of him, and I just think he's just an unbelievable player as well. Tim Howard as well as a goalie, I think he was such a big leader for us with the national team, one of the best goalies in national team history, great career, and somebody who, whenever he speaks, people listen. I'd say Carlos Bocanegra, as well. I had the chance to be teammates with him actually when I was at Glasgow Rangers for a short amount of time, and he was also somebody with the national team who just earned his respect by both on and off the field. And when he spoke, everybody listened, and he was just so sound defensively. And then let's see, one more guy.
Tough.
That's a tough one. Yeah, there's been a lot of great players I've played with. I would say between perhaps Atlanta and Donovan or Michael Bradley, one of those guys. Yeah.
So going back to that U.S. men's national team, 2 of your teammates right now got called up to January camp, and Nate and Jack, and could be a big year with them with the potential of going to the Olympics. They're part of this really special group of young guys on the team this year. Have you had any conversations with them about what this year could be?
Yeah, I mean, not even dates back to even like a year ago or even 2 years ago, having conversation with those types of guys. I think I've played with Nate, the last couple of years. Obviously, he's a right back. I'm typically the right number 8 on the right side, so we play a lot together. So I've had so many conversations with Nate about this is where it comes where my leadership and experience comes into play, and just working with him in terms of how he can improve and become a better player and become a better right back. And I would say initially when he first started, he wasn't as great getting forward and maybe perhaps being dangerous on the offensive side of things, getting balls in the box, or wasn't as confident playing certain balls out of the back, to split the lines and play balls in behind the opposing team's midfielders or defenders. And that's something that he continued to work on, that we would work on together. And he just continues to improve. And speed is something you can't really teach. He's got that natural ability. You can't really teach hops. He seems to be a bouncy guy, and he scored some great goals off of set pieces, attacks the ball really well. So those are some of the intangibles. And then, with experience and more time, you learn the tactical part of the game, where positionally where you should be. So he's somebody that's progressed greatly, and we've had so many conversations. And then Jack, also, when he first came into the fold, you could already see he had a magic wand of a left foot, as they say. His left foot is so great. And it was just more, I always speak on this about how from the youth level to come up to the professional level, the toughest thing for me, what I see, is the tactical awareness of players, right? And Jack's, I think, a guy that needs to be on the ball. Offensively, he's so great, but the next level is, can he do the work defensively? Because the way our style of play is we're not a team that's really going to play out of the back like let's say whatever tiki-taka Barcelona version, but we're more of a team that high presses. And in order to be a high pressing team, you need also players that can do things on both sides of the ball. You can be great offensively, but you have to be also really good defensively. And so Jack has worked on that a lot, and we always speak about it, and positionally where to be and things like that. So both those guys, that's one thing I loved about coming here, even when going back to Mark McKenzie and Trusty and the Aronson brothers and all these other guys, is they're all willing to work. They're willing
eager.
They're eager. They're all willing to put the extra work in after training sessions to work on things that that the game dictates from those positions. So whether it's turning with a guy on your back, or being able to put your body positions in a certain way to receive a ball, receive a pass, and be able to play a ball forward. And those two guys continue to do that, on a weekly basis. And I had a great conversation actually with Greg Berhalter at the MLS Cup final.
Oh,
recently.
really?
And when he asked me about them, and mentioned that he planned on calling both of them and wanted to get my opinion on things. So of course, you speak very highly and positively of these guys, but it's well deserved. And they just keep getting better. And you can add Quinn Solomon to that list as well, of the young guys who are stepping up and doing really, really well with their opportunities.
And even at the start of the season, they've really stepped up. But that's enough soccer on the field stuff for today. After this break, we'll get into off the pitch, Ale, and talk about your business ventures like Padel.
Subaru has teamed up with the Philadelphia Union and Greater Philadelphia area Subaru retailers to make a difference in our community and at Subaru Park. Together, we've helped hundreds of pets get adopted at the stadium. At Subaru Park, we've grown and donated thousands of servings of fresh organic produce to area food banks and helped give kids in our community access to the game they love. Together, Subaru and the Philadelphia Union are making a difference. Subaru, more than a car company.
Ale, a new contract isn't the only off-season excitement you've had. Let's talk padel and this new business venture of yours.
Yeah, for those who are not familiar with the sport of paddle, it's an enclosed roof, kind of in between a mix of tennis and, think racquetball, squash.
What about pickleball? That's where I was
yeah,
kind of confused what the
I'm a little
was.
bit of, obviously I'm biased towards paddle, but
are you anti-pickleball?
I'm not anti-pickleball, but I'm way more pro paddle than pickleball. I think paddle is way more dynamic, more fun. You have to be a little bit more strategic.
The pickleball people are going to be so mad to hear you say this.
You have to be more athletic. Just look at the type of athletics. The thing with pickleball, you have all these, I feel like the demographic skews a lot older for pickleball. You don't have to really move much, In pickleball, you have this thing called the kitchen, right, where you're just dinking shots over, and you can just play this like easy. You're not really having that in paddle. It's way more dynamic. It's more, if you're a tennis player.
So it's in an enclosed space.
Yeah, you have a glass in the back. There's a glass, and then towards the sides you have some like cage-like material. And it's smaller than a tennis court, bigger than a pickleball court. So in between that, but yeah, it's typically played doubles, and like pickleball, but you have to try for yourself. If you've played pickleball, you step in a paddle court, I guarantee you will find paddle way better, more dynamic, interesting, the types of shots you're hitting, especially if you're a tennis person.
That is a bold statement.
It is a bold statement, and I'm going to stand by it. But yes, Paddle House is based in New York City, is where we opened up our the first facilities.
And
actually, I got Jacob involved in it as well, so he's involved
cool.
as an investment, and together with our wives 4 or 5 years ago when Jacob first came to the club, and now when we spent our first off season there, we actually ended up we would play a lot of paddle initially there, and then 3 years ago was where we started thinking about let's put together like a business plan, maybe perhaps bring this to America. There's really nothing in America. I knew of one facility in Miami, where I'm from, in South Florida, that had a few courts and that people were playing. Obviously, Miami's a huge South American, European destination, so obviously those are the people that were playing it a lot down there. But it wasn't really, there was nothing really elsewhere in the States, and so that's obviously we put together something. Actually, at Jacob's cabin, I'll never forget that we were sitting at Jacob's cabin in the mountains there, and together with our wives, we just put together a whole business plan and things together. And as I did more and more research, that's when I connected with Santiago Gomez out of New York City. And obviously, not having the bandwidth because of my playing career still, we just partnered up, and we've opened up. Since then, we're about to open up our fourth location now.
Fourth?
Yeah.
Wow.
We have 3 permanent locations in New York City now, all in the Brooklyn area. One outdoor temporary one, which will reopen in spring. And then Nashville is the first one outside New York City that should be open up this summer.
Okay.
And that will be our biggest one to date.
And that has a juice and coffee bar in it too?
Yeah, all the paddle houses have what's called the juice house is what we're calling it. Yeah,
I like it.
House spelled Haus. Got a little European name to it, but which fresh pressed juices, smoothies, coffee. In small bites and things like that.
What's your go-to order there?
What's my go-to order there? Mm-hmm. I'm just an easy guy. Just like a strawberry smoothie, easy.
Okay. What about a coffee order?
Coffee order? I just always go for either a nice espresso or a cappuccino, if anything.
Okay.
But nothing.
Keeping it simple.
I'm a simple
Classic.
guy. I'm a pretty simple guy, But I think Padel is, like I said, we're still at the ground floor, I think, for the sport in this country. But I think we've seen a lot of people since COVID, especially racket sports in general, have participation rates have skyrocketed. So I think there's definitely, obviously, we've seen the growth of pickleball, but there's I think Padel plays a complementary role to that as well. And I think we'll see more pickleball enthusiasts once they start playing more Padel, getting more involved.
So you've shared all these stories about the places you've been and how they have influenced you in your business ventures, your playing career, but now Philly is home base. What about this city is home outside of the Union, outside of soccer?
Yeah, look, when I first came to Philly, I knew I wanted to live in the city. Like, everywhere I've lived in Europe, when I played over there, I always lived in the city. I just felt that I'm that type of guy that wants to acclimate right away to wherever I go, wherever I'm at, be a part of the culture, whether it's learning that language when I was living abroad, learning Swedish, French. Obviously, I already speak Spanish.
How many languages do you know?
Yeah, I like with Jacob and Mika, maybe I might not understand everything, but because I picked up on Swedish and my wife's Norwegian, I can speak Swedish, I speak Spanish, I speak French and English. Wow. Those are where I would say I'm pretty fluent in. So in terms of understanding and reading and listening and maybe translating certain stuff, I'm very relatable with a lot of those guys in the locker room.
That's a good thing.
That's a very good thing, and I think it helps me become even that much more of of a leader, if you will. But yeah, I think I wanted to make sure I lived in the city in Philly, just so that I not only acclimate to my new surroundings, but I knew that I was going to spend at least 4 years here when I first signed, at least 4 years, and now it's, you mentioned, 9 years. So it's been my home, and by living in the city, it's allowed me to, like I said, meet people, connect with people on a different level. I'm able to show up at different cafes, coffee shops. I'm able to really feel the city. I don't think you get the same vibe if you're living out in the burbs, as you do it living in the city, to really feel what's going on, what's happening in the city. And I don't regret it one bit, living here in Center City. And I love the food scene. I love being able to dine, go out for a good meal at some of the great restaurants here, by some of the great chefs and
do you have a favorite right now?
Do I have a favorite? Oh,
that's hard. Right now, hard. What is your new go-to?
That is hard. Well, I live in No Libs, Northern Liberty is part of the city. So, Cafe Lamar, I would say, is a staple around there. So it's great. I like, obviously, they're affiliated with Soraya. Soraya is a great spot. I like
that neighborhood has quite a few good restaurants, you can go walk down the street and you can have any cuisine that you're really looking for.
Yeah,
and
for
multiple
vegan
options.
People, there's
for
Petramala, which just got some awards. I like Asian kind of fusion cuisine, so like Double Knot is a spot that I love as well. I went to Alpenrose the other night.
That's a newer one, right?
Yeah, kind of a steakhouse. Michael Schulzen, he's another guy, big restaurateur. All those guys, Michael Schulzen, you got Michael Solomonov, you got Steven Starr Restaurants. I mean, these guys, they've just helped really put Philly on the map.
So while we're on the topic of Philadelphia as a whole, I have a quick little game. This or that, Philly edition. Ready?
Let's go.
Okay. We'll start off easy. Soft pretzel or water ice?
Water ice.
Cheesesteak or roast pork sandwich?
Cheesesteak.
I disagree. Game at the ballpark or at the link?
I'm more of a football guy, so game at the link.
Okay. Center City or Old City?
That's a good one. Yeah, I think I'll go with Center City for now.
Okay. Fanatic or gritty?
Fanatic or gritty?
They both make me a little nervous.
They do. I got to go with gritty. I mean, I think they did a great job with them.
And last one, a walk along the Delaware or the Schuylkill, like Boathouse Row?
Oh, that's a great one. Well, this is another thing. I'm biased now, and I live closer to the Delaware River, and I'm so thankful that they're finally developing that waterfront area.
Oh, yeah, that's new news.
Put the bike track, right? They put the bike path there, and that's a bike path that we often go on with the kids and really enjoy.
Do you have bikes, or do you go on the city bikes? Okay.
No, we have our own bicycles. And two and a half years ago, we bought them. Over that summer during COVID, I think that was when we all bought bicycles, and since they installed that new bike path along the Delaware River, I mean, we're biking. We do that. That's a thing that we do often with the kids. It's a nice way to get out.
So speaking of getting out, we're getting out of the city pretty soon this weekend, but we're getting out of the city very soon. Next up is a Saturday night matchup against Kansas City, and then Pachuca CCC play here at home on Tuesday. What do fans have to look forward to in the next couple of weeks of Union soccer?
A lot of action. So it's exciting for both fans and players, I suppose. But yeah, look, I think, like I said, we started the season with a bang. We're going to travel now to Kansas City. There are no easy games, so it'll be a tough road match. But, with every game that we're involved in, the point is always the same, to come out with a result, to win. We know in this league, in terms of regular season, it's always important to win your home games and steal points away. So hopefully we can get a good result in Kansas City that will help us, have even more confidence and to come back home and win against a good Pachuca team, a Mexican side that's pretty always strong, and I think they're at the top of their table in their league. So it won't be an easy game as well, but these are the competitions we want to be involved in, and these are the fun games. So hopefully we make the most out of it and give all the fans that come and support us in their stadiums and watching at home something to be proud of.
Like you said, there's a lot of action coming. But for now, that does it for the DOOP presented by Subaru. Thank you so much for being our very first guest.
Thank you. And, hey, everybody, tune in to the DOOP.
Thanks.